Hello, it's time for another story. I was thinking about what story I'd like to tell you today, and I thought of school days. When I was in school, some 40, 50 years ago, things were done a little bit differently than they are today. The teachers had quite a bit of latitude on how they were going to discipline their own class. They weren't under some strict regulations that they are today. So we all knew what teachers did what. For instance, to give you the rundown, our principal, he had a paddle, a ping pong paddle, and he liked to use a ping pong paddle. Other teachers had yardsticks, rulers. Shop teachers would go and make their own paddle out of wood. Nice, heavy paddle, long paddles. We had a shop teacher that would actually drill holes in his paddle so there would be less wind resistance when he swatted you and picked you up off the ground. We called that the waffle butt paddle. That's what it caused. A little waffle butt with all the holes. So it was a different time. This one time in class, I was in 5th, 6th grade, somewhere around there. Can't remember exactly when. But I was causing trouble in class. The normal stuff. Telling jokes in the back of the class, causing havoc. Nothing mischievous, but just disruptive. Making a bunch of kids laugh around me, go figure. And finally, the teacher had enough. And so she said, "Andy, I want you to go to the principal's office." Well, everybody knew what that meant. It was pretty much a code. If you went to the principal's office, especially for me, they knew why I was there. And they would send me into the principal's office. I'd tell him what I did, and he would get his paddle out, and he would give me how many swats he felt I needed for the day. So, my long walk to the principal's office, I've been thinking about how many swats am I going to get? And I walked into the principal's office and I says, "Is the principal in?" And the receptionist says, "No. Would you like to wait?" "Nah, that's all right," I said. "I'll come back later." And I walked out of the principal's office and went back to class. Now, on the way back to class, I'm thinking, this is going to work out good. But I've got somehow to make the teacher feel like I got swatted by the principal. So when I returned to class, after rubbing my eyes, I walked back to my desk, slammed my head against the wall, the desk, put my head on the desk, and sobbed. Now all the kids around me were just chuckling and laughing. "Boy, you really got it this time. How many swats did he give you, Andy?" And so I just kind of sat there with my head on my desk, thinking, I think I got by with it. Well, the class continued, and there was another individual in class named Cody. Cody had some of the same issues I did. He would get in trouble quite often as well. And finally, she had all she could take of Cody, and she says, "Cody, now you're going to go to the principal's office." And then I thought, uh-oh, 2 people to principal's office at the same time. Now what's going to happen? And then she asked me a question, which I thought afterwards, apparently my acting wasn't good enough. She said, "Andy, was the principal in?" What? Was the principal in? Could you see what happened? And I thought, now, if I lie about it, I'm going to get in trouble for lying. And if I lie in class, that's a reportable offense to home. And we're talking more swats at home. So I'm thinking maybe I ought to fess up here. So I sat up in my chair, big smile on my face and says, "No, he wasn't." Then the whole class realized it was an act. And of course, they all laughed. Well, she says, "I'll just take care of things myself." She called me to the front of the class. She called Cody to the front of the class, and she pulls out a yardstick. She says, "I'm going to take care of it myself. You're going to lean across this desk, and I'm going to give you swats." Now, Cody was like shaking his head like, "That ain't going to happen." And I looked at the yardstick, looked at her, and I thought about that paddle. And I thought that paddle was a lot bigger than that yardstick. And I think I'm better off just getting it here. So I leaned across the desk and says, "Okay, I'll go first." And she started hitting me with that yardstick. Smack, smack, smack. And it didn't hardly feel a thing. And I looked at the classroom that she had me face her desk and face my classroom and all my classmates. And all of a sudden, my classmates transformed into my audience. So I started going, "Ow! Ow! Oh! Ah! Ah!" And I made the noise and I made the faces, and of course the class just thought that was hilarious. She turned to Cody. He goes, "You're next." Cody looks at me. He looks at her. He goes, "Why not?" He laid across the desk, and he did the same thing I did. Ah! Oh! Ah! We went back to our chairs with a lesson learned. Now, I'm not saying that we should go back to that. I'm not saying that it was right or wrong. That's just the way it was when you were asked, "Was the principal in?" Hey, thanks for joining me for my story today. Take a look at my other stories that's around and let me know what you think. I will talk to you later.